There is a battle going on for the very soul of Bitcoin. No, that's just clickbait. That's not really true, but there is battle going on for the 40,000 to 42,000 level, which really is a key support that we want to see Bitcoin hold now. But on the regulatory side, there really is a major battle going on over crypto. I'm going to talk about all that, share a few charts with you guys right now. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets, recording here in a remote destination, aka my dad's office. I hope that all of you are having a wonderful day today and enjoying this slight bounce, but will it continue? I don't know. We're going to take a look. Listen, before we get started, please go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and go ahead and, I don't know, how do we want to hit the like button today? Maybe we'll go back to tapping it with our ear. We're going to tap that like button with your ear, kick in the algorithm, make me more popular than I already am. That's all what we need in life, right? More views, more followers, more everything. Not really the case, but please do go ahead and click that like button. Now, guys, you can win $5,000 by doing so. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel and hit the link right down below in the description, and you can win $5,000 of my money. We're getting pretty close to 100,000, which is super sweet. So, guys, yeah, as I said, there's a lot going on today. I have a ton of news to share right now, as well as a few charts. We saw a nice bounce overnight, but man, pretty surprising to see Bitcoin continue that push down yesterday after such a massive sell-off and on extremely increasing volume. It did not stop and continued pushing through that close yesterday on the daily. But first, we're going to start digging into the news. So guys, listen, the first story that we have here, Bitcoin slides 6% as Ethereum sinks below 3,000 to hit near 2-month low. This was actually yesterday. So as he said here, the entire crypto market took a beating yesterday, meaning 2 days ago, seemingly as a result of uncertainty in the Chinese markets. Things don't look better today. The point here being that we obviously saw a major sell-off on both Bitcoin and Ethereum and went below key levels that we talked about. Now, listen, we know that 42,000 is the key level. I will dive into the charts and talk about that. But what always happens when there's a key support or resistance level? One of two things I talk about all the time. Either that level gets completely front run, you're looking at 42,000 to buy, it bounces at 42,500, or it nukes completely below and goes much deeper and doesn't hold at all. Well, unfortunately, this time we saw the latter and now are seeing a battle back for that level. Now, Mike Novogratz, who was featured on the episode of Billions last week, pretty sweet. Bitcoin in good shape as long as BTC price stays above 40K. Mike Novogratz, the veteran Bitcoin bull, says he's not nervous about crypto on the back of the institutional investor demand he has witnessed. Now, I have to agree with Mike here, not about the level, but about the sentiment. 40,000 is a key level because it's a round number, factor of 10. Everybody focuses on the obvious psychological levels like 40, 50, 60, 100K. We will get to 100K. Everyone focuses on those levels, but it's not what's important. From a technical perspective, it's 42. But what he's saying here is much more important, which is that he works in this space. He is on the institutional side, and he sees the interests of the institutional investor demand. These are the guys who know how much money is flowing into the space, where that money is coming from, and when it's likely to come. You do not want to be on the opposing side of these guys when they're telling you that money is flowing into the market. So whatever happens, remember, we are just at the beginning here as far as adoption from institutions and the big money flowing into the space. So this is not the time to zoom way in on the chart and make impulsive bad decisions. Bitcoin eyes 3 billion September options expiry after a drop to 40K. The majority of options are set to expire without value. Billions of dollars in options expire Friday. They expire on the last Friday of the month. Deribit is by far the largest exchange for these. So we know that that's where we'll be watching. But in this case, because of the huge drop that we just saw, most of these are going to expire out of the money unless Bitcoin somehow in the next 48 hours pushes up to much higher levels, above 50,000. 47 to 49,000 would actually put a lot of these in play. A lot of people would lose money in that area, but above 50 is really where it gets interesting. So in this case, there's not much expected volatility on the options close or anything like that. So just so you guys know, that's not really a story this week unless we see a major pump here moving forward. Now, Extreme fear among Bitcoin investors for the first time in 2 months. Well, we all like to look at the fear and greed index. I can just talk to you about it right here. Look, we have it pulled up. 21, extreme fear. Listen, we can see this get down to 7, 5, 4, 3, right? And that has happened in the past. But it is interesting how quickly we've gone from extreme greed at 79 last month to extreme fear. I don't know how many famous quotes we need to talk about in this case, right? By the fear, when there's fear when there's blood in the streets, by the blood, be greedy when others are fearful when others are greedy. It's a very clear message from seasoned investors that you buy fear long-term. And that's what I'm thinking here. Listen, I was a little early. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin around 43K. I bought a little more on the dip when it passed through. I will continue buying in these areas, even if we're expected to go much lower, because I do think eventually we will get that bounce. I think Bitcoin goes much, much higher with time, and I don't see a reason to try to time it exactly. Bought the dip. Third largest Bitcoin whale purchased 13 million worth of Bitcoin at 40,500. Wow. This is the same wallet, the third largest wallet that was been buying the dip all the way down from 65,000, adding thousands of coins to his stack. He now has 111,000 coins. 111,000 coins. Let that sink in really quick. Billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. This dude is a giga chad, and he continues to buy the dip. And he just bought heavily, 13 million more dollars again at 40,500, I believe was the exact cost basis. We talk about this all the time as well. You want to be on the side of the whales, not fighting against them. This is a signal to me that whales are still accumulating, that we've seen on this drop is largely an overreaction to fear of Evergrande, of course, Chinese, which was an opportunity for whales to move the price down. But again, this is most likely a function of over leverage in the system. Leverage gets liquidated. We see a cascade down, stopping people out, liquidating, covering, and price goes way down further than it should. But now let's finally take a look at the chart here. Okay, first, guys, we have the weekly chart. This is an illustration of why 40,000 is important, right? This is the 42,000. That's the line right there. On Coinbase was 41,986. On Bitstamp, it is actually 42,000. We are at 42,262. We lost it on the daily. I'll show you that in a minute. But for me, I want to see it hold on the weekly chart. So what happens in the next 4 or 5 days is really what matters, in my opinion. You can see the 50 MA coming up right here. Wouldn't want to lose that. Lost it very temporarily for a week, but pumped above. It's been a long time since price has traded below that, May of 20. So we'll definitely want to see the 50 MA hold for those who are MA traders, and also this 38.2% area. This is a nice little bounce. We'll see it on the daily, but you can see why this level is important. Look, this is December, right? So here, coming into January, price topped on the move up from 20,000 at 42,000, right? And then we had a full over a month of consolidation under that level. Then price pushed through when Tesla bought 1.5 billion. We lost that level in May and traded below it for another 3 months. That's 4 months of the year collectively that 42K was the key resistance on the entire chart, right? 4 months of the year, that's been the key resistance. We would hate for that to be the key resistance. Again, we want that to flip to support, and this is the first test. A successful test of support of a key level is very bullish. It's just scary when it's happening. Here you can see it on the daily. This is Bitstamp 42,000, right? Pushing right up against that, and also right up against the 38.2% retracement of the move from 65,000 down to 28,600. Strong resistance, and that was a major close below. What I don't like here, and I want to point out, we had a very clear rise in volume, right? 2 days ago, this was a big volume spike, and we were like, oh man, that is brutal, right? Well, yesterday I had more volume. Volume confirms trends. When you see volume rising and price dropping or going up, it confirms a trend. When you see price dropping and when you see, volume dropping, but prices going up or going down, that's more like consolidation, not the trend. This was an extreme increase in volume. Hopefully that will be capitulation. So listen, I'm curious if you guys think that Bitcoin is going to drop down below 42K, if it's going to hold. Do you think we're going to lows? Do you think we're going higher? I really want to hear your opinion on what's going on here with the charts. I'm going to come back and look and see what you guys have to say. A lot of bullish engulfing candles forming on the daily candles currently. Hopefully they can hold. That's true. And we saw the same sort of yesterday, right? Yesterday, actually, when I streamed in the morning, same 2 days ago, actually, we saw these nice bounce candles, these hammers forming. And then the end of the day near the candle, we saw bears push really hard to destroy those candles. So let's see if that's going to happen again. I think we tapped 38K. Well, we got pretty close, but yeah, that's definitely possible. A lot of people talking about 38,500. That's exactly the kind of thing that we were seeing when we were talking about 42K, right? Kristen had a dream. It went to literal zero, then bounced to 60K. What does it all mean? Just put, I don't know, literal zero is bad. I can't tell you what that means. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I don't want to do that. We even have people here who think we'll be at 10K. I would love to hear the argument for that. Love to hear the argument for that, but I don't see it holding. Listen, a lot of people think if we lose 42K, then we go back to 30K. My friend Big Cheds thinks that. I could see that. If we start trading back in that range, we could go from the highs of the range back down to low. But right now, we should not be concerned with all that. I think eyes should be on 42K. Let's drive back in. This is the daily chart as well. As you can see, this shouldn't have happened. Right? This is the range, 42,996. Let's call it 43,000. This is the range we were in for all those months, right? Bounced here from the lows, came up here to the high. Well, we lost that range as support now yesterday. And listen, when I made the video, this was a hammer candle, like with a wick down to 40,200 with a body up here. Then the last few hours of the day, a major push down, right? So now we're back below it. Listen, if you're a trader, and I'm not telling you to do this, I'm not doing this. But this right here, like this retest of the key level like that, that's a short, right? If you're trading with leverage and you trade both sides and you're not emotionally attached, you see a breakdown like this, you short and then you take it down. But the reason being that it has high risk reward, and if you stop out, you stop out really tight, and you may have if you were putting your stop tighter than 42,700. But right now, we're back in this range, which means you can start talking about targets like the mid-range, 36,000, something like that. I'm not saying that I'm overtly bearish. I'm just saying that the statistical odds, if you're a trader looking at both ways, when you lose support, you test resistance. Just like we've talked about all these times, when something breaks through resistance, you take that retest as support, right? Same idea. So here on the 4 hour, something that definitely have noticed, I've been watching for a 4 hour bullish divergence. As I said yesterday, this level 21.59 on RSI in the 4 hour was the lowest we've been in a year since last September. Well, surprise, surprise, it went lower. It went lower. Went all the way down to 19.17 on the push down yesterday. We did not get bullish divergence and invalidated the idea. Now we have this bounce. To me, this looks like short covering, a reactionary bounce. I don't think I'm convinced yet at all by this bounce, just to be quite honest with you. And we do have hidden bearish divergence, which is a sign of continuation. So, you know what I'm looking for now. Now that we've made this low, this is really low. Now I'm looking, same thing. Nothing changes, right? It would only take a candle closing below 40,596 on the 4 hour. That's not very far away, a $2,000 drop to give us that potential bullish divergence once again. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying that's my personal signal. Let's take a really quick look at Ethereum too. I like the fact that Ethereum on the Bitcoin pair is bouncing right at the EQ of the range, right? This had a major pump. This looks like it's consolidating for another push up. You love to see this hold right now at the range. So if Ethereum looks a little better than Bitcoin to me right now on the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, Ethereum USD actually is kind of in a descending channel now, but same story as Bitcoin, right? Formed this range, lost the range, retesting it as resistance. Not too much to see here. We need to see all of these ranges flip back and that 42K level on Bitcoin be held on the weekly, in my ever so humble opinion. Oh, talk about a battle for the soul of Bitcoin. Not really for the Bitcoin, but for the crypto industry. I don't know how many of you guys watched this. Did any of you watch the stream on the Washington Post yesterday? I posted it. I signed up. I watched the entire thing. I've watched it 4 times now, and it only gets worse. SEC's Gensler likened stablecoins to poker chip amid call for tougher crypto regulation. If you missed it, it was about a 30-minute talk yesterday. Gensler sat down with the Washington Post. They asked him all the questions about China, cryptocurrency in general. And it's the same thing over and over again. He gives this sort of canned response. Satoshi Nakamoto was a genius. This could be really interesting, but, and then he goes into his long list of all the things that are wrong, and his hot takes get worse each and every time. I'm going to show. Here are a few of my favorite quotes. Let me see if I can find them. A few of my favorite quotes. This is a field ripe with fraud, abuse, and hucksters. Yeah, Gary Gensler was obviously talking about the government and the SEC. No, he was talking about crypto. But you could say that about the government, right? Here's another one. Stablecoins are acting like poker chips at a casino. This space is still the Wild West. I was not aware that poker chips at a casino were considered securities. They're not. So that's a poor corollary and a stupid comparison. If you want to make the comparison that Bitcoin and the crypto market is a casino, that one I can see. But I do not believe that Tether or stablecoins are poker chips at that casino. This one's a killer. He was talking about wildcat currencies in the 1860s, by the way. Private monies usually don't last that long, so I don't think there's a long-term viability for 5,000 or 6,000 private forms of money. Listen, that's true, but he doesn't understand that cryptos are not trying to be private forms of money. Only Bitcoin is. Anyways, and stablecoins. History tells us otherwise. So in the meantime, I think it's worthwhile to have an investor protection regime placed around this. We know regulations coming. That's fine. But he basically made the point here and went on to continue that cryptocurrencies will fail because other private monies have failed. Yeah, let's go back to the time of slavery to find a corollary for where this is relevant, which is much like using the Howey test and securities laws from the 1930s to determine what cryptocurrencies are. That's the problem here. Raoul Paul actually had a great thread about this yesterday where he basically said, yes, they're going to be deemed securities, but then what they're going to need to do is redefine securities for once. If these are securities, they don't fit in the framework of the 1930 version when we were watching Charlie Chaplin running around with a stupid little hat and mustache. That's not relevant now, and they need to create a new framework for this finally to become relevant. And honestly, more importantly, who can look at Gary Gensler after seeing this on Reddit and not think of this? Who can do it? He's Mr. Burns. He's Mr. Burns. He's Mr. Burns. I don't know who Smithers is. You guys can tell me who you think Smithers is, but it's really hard for me to look at this now and not see that. But speaking of regulation, I talked about yesterday the fact that Coinbase has seemingly capitulated on their lend product, said, listen, we're getting pressure. We work with the government. We're going to go ahead and back off. But Coinbase to propose crypto regulations to U.S. official sources. Coinbase is said to be working on a pitch to federal regulators on how to oversee the crypto industry. Good. I like that Coinbase is getting out ahead of this and placing their recommendations in front of Gensler. I don't think Gensler and the SEC will necessarily listen, and we don't know what's in here. I'm sure it's very measured, actually, and there's a lot of things that the most hardcore crypto enthusiasts will not like that Coinbase is proposing. But rumor has it, Coinbase is telling them this is what should be a security, this coin should not, going to give them a framework, tell them how we would like to be regulated from our industry. I think this will probably be a reasonable middle ground, whether they're listening or not, but I do like that Coinbase is at least trying to get out ahead of this time. I just want you guys to revisit that. Just take a look. Can't stop looking at it. So, speaking of people who are saying dumb shit, Jim Cramer urges investors to take some crypto profits. That's not a dumb thing necessarily. Citing Evergrande related Tether risk. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and just play this video right now. You can watch it yourself.
Chairman Gary Gensler about Tether and what they owned. And he said he was concerned. You should be concerned. Tether said they have no Evergrande exposure. Thank you. But tons of Chinese businesses stand to get crushed by this fiasco, and they have Evergrande exposure. And that could spell real trouble if the dominoes fall here. Let me put it this way. In 2008, a Lehman Brothers money market fund collapsed, which acted as an accelerant for the financial crisis. Could the same thing again happen with Tether? Just say I'm concerned, okay? Why should you care about Tether if you own some other cryptocurrency? Simple. Do you have any idea how much Bitcoin and Ethereum are purchased with Tether? It makes up a huge chunk of all transactions. Tether's like a $60 billion company. If Tether collapses, well, then it's going to cut the whole crypto ecosystem. So if you own crypto in any form and you've got big gains, I recommend taking something off the table. Now, I know there are lots of younger people who love this stuff. They own slivers of it and Robinhood. I wouldn't be surprised at all if crypto eventually goes mainstream. But right now, owning crypto is what's known as a crowded trade. And I don't want you to lose money if the space keeps getting hit by Evergrande's contagion worries. Make no mistake, unlike American banks, these cryptocurrencies could truly be vulnerable here thanks to that Tether connection. Take Tether out, and it wouldn't be, by the way. If the Chinese Communist Party liked crypto, that would be one thing. But they've spent this year trying to stamp out everything crypto-connected in China. And they don't seem to have much interest in stopping this problem at the source by bailing out Evergrande, or at least they don't want to bail out the shareholders and the creditors. I know the crypto lovers never want to hear me say sell, but if you got a big gain as I did, well, I'm begging you to. Don't let it become a loss. Sell some, stay long the rest. Then let's wait and see if China changes its attitude towards an Evergrande bailout.
So much to parse there. I actually like Jim Cramer. He's a fantasy football fan like myself, calls himself Jimmy Chill, but man, he missed the mark here so bad. First of all, I don't even know how to dig into this. I'm trying to think of everything he said. First, he's calling Evergrande a systemic risk specifically for crypto and Tether, but saying that it's not for stocks and other investments. First of all, Evergrande is a much bigger risk to stocks and other assets than it is to crypto. There's no direct threat of Evergrande in China to crypto in this case, right? So to me, that doesn't make sense. Then he goes on to make the point about Tether. Goes on to make the point about Tether, who is not backed. They made it clear they're not backed by they don't own any Evergrande commercial paper at all. This has nothing to do with Tether. China and Tether are completely unlinked. So that connection that he makes there is literally completely fake news and completely false. If you want to worry about crypto because of Tether, fine, but that has nothing to do with what's going on in China, and Tether has done a great job. In fact, tomorrow, I'm releasing a podcast with Paolo Arduino, who is the CTO of both Bitfinex and Tether. I don't know how he does it. They're two separate companies. And we did a full, long deep dive into stablecoins for an hour of what they are and why they're important. I can promise you Tether has nothing to do with this. The only good point he makes here is if you're a trader, I'm not talking about a Bitcoin investor, but if you're a trader here, of course, you always take profits so that you don't give your money back to the market. He's a trader. He does not view crypto clearly as an important asset, so he sold some of his coins. I can't blame a trader for doing that. But the whole premise for why he would want to do it here is so utterly stupid. Also, did he just say that it would be better for Bitcoin if the Communist Party in China liked it? That's literally what he just said. He literally just said, well, maybe if the Communist CCP Party really liked it and weren't trying to regulate it and get rid of it, then maybe we should like Tether and the cryptocurrencies. And oh, did someone see that squirrel? And maybe this has something to do with my mother-in-law calling me. And you guys, it's complete nonsense. He was completely rambling. I have no idea why he said that or what he was saying there, but there is no tie between Tether and what's going on with Evergrande in China. And neither of those pose any greater risk to crypto than other assets. If the world goes risk off, of course, there's going to be a reaction. We just saw it. Crypto overreacts, but it also pumps back harder, as I said on Fox yesterday. You guys can watch that video on my YouTube. I don't know if you saw me on Making Money with Charles Payne yesterday, but I shut it down because I quoted Wu-Tang right at the beginning. But he did ask me if Bitcoin is a hedge. Is it good? Because every time the stock market drops, Bitcoin seems to drop more. And I made the point, yeah, Bitcoin drops first, it drops harder. But last year, everyone's so excited that the stock market doubled, right? Went down to the March 2020 lows. It doubled in a year. Holy shit. Bitcoin went 17x from 3,800 to 65,000. So it's completely disingenuous to say Bitcoin is not a hedge because it drops in one day more than the stock market. You don't judge a hedge in one day, and you can't ignore the fact that it went up $65,000 from 3,800 by 17x. And let's take another look. We got another billionaire here. I don't know if Cramer's a billionaire, but I have an actual billionaire here who has some more thoughts on Bitcoin. This is Ray Dalio.
Hedge fund game, not Henry Paulson, the other Paulson, the great benefactor of Central Park. John Paulson is saying Bitcoin is a fraud. I speak with my own words there. But what do you think about Bitcoin? Is it a durable thing for banks or for institutions?
I was going to say this in Bitcoin. I'm not an expert on Bitcoin, but I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think anyway. Anyways, take it. It's not worth much. But Bitcoin has an imputed value, not an not a intrinsic value. And so it depends what it's perceived as. It's a tremendous accomplishment to have done that programming, not have it hacked, and to have its advancement. At the same time, and so it will have the perceived value that it is given by the marketplace. Now, right now, if you take the value of Bitcoin, you take the price. What should the price be? And since the quantity doesn't change, you know what it's a function of demand. Right now, Bitcoin is worth a little less than $1 trillion. gold, all gold in existence, is worth, if you take central banks and jewelry out of it, about $5 trillion. So it's about 20% of that market that represents, the hedge market and so on. I think that I think if it's successful, really successful, it's not going to be a lot more than that. And if it's and also if it's successful, there's a risk the government will outlaw it. So that's what I think.
I got 20 seconds.
Yeah, so surprisingly, Ray Dalio, who owns a ton of Bitcoin, has been a fan, has hated it, has been a fan, has hated it, is now somewhere in the middle hedging his bets. Old man screams at cloud. Listen, I'm glad that Ray Dalio is generally on our team. I disagree that governments can kill it. They can kill some crypto innovation. They can certainly make it hard to get your money in and out, but they cannot kill Bitcoin, and that notion is utterly absurd. Also, to say that it has no intrinsic value, which they keep saying, what does have intrinsic value? The argument is that the dollar has intrinsic value. If I go on the internet and I go, intrinsic, what is intrinsic? Does it say backed by trust in your government and their very strong military? Because that is the value of the dollar and what backs the dollar. How does Bitcoin have less intrinsic value than any other asset? And tell me what asset does have intrinsic value if Bitcoin doesn't? It's so stupid. I'm curious for you guys, since obviously Ray Dalio talks about having 5%-ish in Bitcoin, what percent of your portfolios personally, what percent of your portfolios are in crypto in general? Yeah, Trav eggs, exactly. Literally nothing has intrinsic value. What percentage of your portfolios do you guys have in crypto? Go ahead and tell me. I'm going to sit here and wait for your comments because I want to know. I'll tell you that I'm at basically half already. And I was at like 10, 15%. Now, 100%, 100%, 100%, 2.5%, 100%, 100%. You guys are savages. I don't know how old you are, but that's risky. Julian, 10% in crypto. I think that's a very, very reasonable. 90%, 30%, 60%, 85%, 20%. You guys are not messing around. I love this. Wait, 100% with some GME. I love you, man. That means it's not 100%. Just maths. Let's keep going, guys. Okay, let's just keep going. 90% there. Let's keep going. Genesis Digital Assets raises $131 million for expansion. Oh, by the way, I saw a few comments from you guys that my sound is not great. I talked about this yesterday. I'm not at my home office. I'm in basically an echo chamber. Yes, you're going to get some echo. Genesis Digital Assets raises $431 million for expansion. Paradigm led the funding round, which included other venture heavyweights. This is Genesis raising money specifically for mining in North America and the Nordic region. But let's see who invested in this. NYDIG, FTX, Stone Ridge, Ribbit, and Electric Capital, as well as the family offices of Paul Tudor Jones by way of Kingsway Capital. Dude, this is what I'm talking about. The big money is dying to get into this space. They've just been printing it and printing it. These guys have more money than they know what to do with, and they just want to pour it into the crypto space. And this is going to be huge for getting mining out of China and North American mining. Now I'm going to share what is my favorite story of the day. Snoop Dogg reveals himself as Ethereum NFT whale with $17 million collection. The rapper says that he is Cosmo de Medici, a pseudonymous crypto Twitter personality with a highly valuable NFT collection. First of all, I love the name Cosmo de Medici, but he probably should have named himself something more appropriate, like Smokamo de Blizanti or Blizanti. You guys can tell me what name you think Snoop should have given himself. And clearly he is rolling down the street, smoking Emdo, collecting some NFTs, laid back with his mind on his JPEGs and his JPEGs on his mind. But I love seeing that there's people who are open-minded enough to come into this space like Snoop Dogg and collect and understand the value of the good shit. Just like the weed he smokes, Snoop is collecting the good shit. He has 9 crypto punks. This dude is not buying your silly, pudgy, squirrel face rat dogs. He's buying crypto punks and things that will hold their value for a very long time. A true art collector. We know that Snoop is a connoisseur of all things good, and he also shares that love with NFTs. Man, he just dropped it like it was hot. AMC CEO is now considering adding Dogecoin payments. The meme stock movie theater chain will soon take Bitcoin and other crypto coins, and Doge could join the list. Well, they've already started taking coins like Bitcoin Cash, so why not Doge, right? listen, Doge is probably better than that for this point, considering how many people use it. But the irony cannot be missed here that we literally have the CEO of a company that is a meme stock that now wants to take meme coins for payments for movies that are probably about memes at his meme movie theaters. Meme stock taking payments from meme coins. Let's take a look at Doge. Any bounce on the news? Not really, but this did. I charted this for somebody the other day. Bounced exactly where we're looking for. This is a strong demand zone. All this price action over here right off this candle. That was the initiation of this pump. So it did bounce here. If we see more movement up on Bitcoin, this should be a local Dogecoin bottom. If not, obviously, start looking down to 15 cents. Final story, BitClout creator launches decentralized social blockchain with 200 million in funding. Well, listen, the BitClout, I don't know your opinion on it. It was apparently free money. I could have signed up and made $100,000 or something. And I literally stayed away because the optics of it were so bad at the time. People were calling it a scam. You couldn't get your money off of it. So I didn't touch BitClout. I kind of let the dust settle. I have no idea now what's going on with BitClout, but this is an interesting idea, decentralized social. But the more interesting part, once again, you guys can decentralize social. You can dive into this more if you want. The more interesting part, once again, is Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. 200 million in funding for one project to this guy, right? And listen, he was anonymous. Now he came out, said his name was Nader Al-Naji, the founder of the stablecoin startup Basis that shut down in 2018. And his pseudonym is Diamondhands. That's what he goes by, what many people know him as. So now we do know who the founder of BitClout was, which I guess was a bit risky for him after all that FUD. And now he has another project with $200 million from one source to build this. I'm telling you guys, there is so much money flowing into this space. It is a joke. And you guys are some serious hodlers, by the way. Those numbers are hugely. Huge if big if large. Big if large, you guys holdings. So guys, that's basically it for today. Now listen, I will be back at 1:30 p.m. EDT with Chartapalooza. That's where my paid newsletter subscribers can ask for charts. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of jacked up charts today. Just being honest, after you have a crash, altcoin charts tend to reset. They're pretty ugly, hard to look at, but we are going to go over that and we'll talk more about everything that we touched on today. Tonight on Twitter Spaces at 8 p.m. EDT, I cannot tell you what it is, but I was asked to do an exclusive and it's huge. It will be at 8. It'll be at 8 o'clock EDT on my Twitter Spaces. I'll be hosting somebody huge with a major announcement and conversation. That's all I can say. I was extremely flattered to be chosen to do it, but it's going to be very big. So you guys should pay attention to that. Check on my Twitter. I will be announcing it in the coming hours once they announce more of what's going on. And I will also be recording that so that we can put it out onto YouTube. Guys, that's it. We did 32 minutes. These are getting longer and longer and longer. I hope that's okay. I'm sorry for that. The idea was for the morning streams to be like the short videos that I used to put out. But, I cannot stop myself from talking ever. Kind of a problem that I have, guys. Kind of a problem. Loose lips. In this case, hopefully not sinking ships. Again, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Enter that contest. Win $5,000. Also, smash that like button with your molar. Get your molar in there and smash that like button. Until tomorrow, guys. Thank you. Love you all. Peace.
Let's go.